The Dog and the Shadow. One day, a dog was proudly carrying a big piece of meat in its mouth as it crossed a bridge over a river. While walking across, it looked down and saw its own reflection in the water. Mistaking the reflection for another dog with a bigger piece of meat, the dog growled and opened its mouth to snatch what it thought was a better meal. But as it barked, the meat dropped from its mouth and fell into the river. Left with nothing, the dog sadly walked away, hungry and disappointed. Moral: greed can cause you to lose even what you already have. The Farmer and the Snake. On a cold winter day, a kind farmer was walking through his field and found a snake lying frozen on the ground. Feeling pity, he picked it up and placed it inside his coat to keep it warm. The warmth of the farmer's body revived the snake. But once it regained its strength, the snake bit the farmer. As the deadly venom spread, the farmer fell to the ground and said, "I saved your life, but you repaid me with death." Moral: do not show kindness to the wicked, for they may repay it with harm. The Honest Woodcutter. Once upon a time, a poor woodcutter dropped his axe into a river while he was working. He was very sad because it was the only tool he had to earn a living. A river spirit saw this and appeared to help. She asked, "Did you drop your axe?" Then she dived into the water and came up with a golden axe. "Is this yours?" The woodcutter shook his head. She dived again and brought up a silver axe. "Is this yours?" Again he shook his head. Finally, she brought up his old iron axe. The woodcutter smiled and said, "Yes, that's mine." Impressed by his honesty, the spirit rewarded him with all three axes: gold, silver, and iron. Moral: honesty brings rewards and kindness. The Oak and the Reed. A mighty oak tree stood tall and proud by the riverside. Nearby, a small and slender reed swayed gently in the breeze. The oak often mocked the reed, saying, "I am strong and steady. You are weak and always bending." The reed replied, "True, I may be thin and soft, but I am flexible and can adapt. When the storm comes, I bend with the wind, but you with your strength might break." Soon after, a great storm swept through. The oak stood firm and resisted the wind, but eventually it was uprooted and fell. The reed, bending gracefully with the wind, remained unharmed. Moral: flexibility and adaptability are more valuable than unyielding strength.
The Crow and the Clam. One day, a crow was flying near the seashore when it saw a clam lying open on the beach. The crow swooped down and tried to peck inside the clam. But suddenly the clam snapped shut, trapping the crow's beak tightly. The crow was startled and tried to escape, but it was stuck. The crow struggled for a long time but couldn't get free. In the end, a person walking by easily caught it. Moral: never underestimate something that seems weak. It may have a way to protect itself.
The frogs who desired a king. Long ago, the frogs in a quiet pond grew bored and disorganized. They asked the gods to send them a king to rule over them. The gods sent a large log that landed in the middle of the pond. At first, the frogs were excited and jumped onto it. But when they saw it did nothing and stayed still, they became disappointed. They asked again for a stronger ruler. This time, the gods sent a stork. The stork began eating the frogs one by one. Terrified, the frogs begged the gods for another change. But the gods replied, "You made your choice. Now you must live with it." Moral: be careful what you wish for. You may end up worse than before. The Country Mouse and the City Mouse. A country mouse lived a simple life in the fields. One day, his cousin, the city mouse, came to visit. The country mouse offered what little he had, but the city mouse laughed and said, "Your life is hard. Come with me to the city and enjoy real food." The country mouse agreed and went to the city. That night, the city mouse brought him to a grand kitchen filled with bread, meat, and cheese. As they were about to eat, loud noises and barking scared them away. Terrified, the country mouse said, "Thank you for your kindness, but I'd rather live a quiet, safe life than feast in fear." Morale: a simple, safe life is better than luxury filled with danger. The Stork and the Fox. One day, a fox invited a stork to dinner. He served soup in a shallow plate. The stork, with its long beak, couldn't eat anything, while the fox happily licked up all the soup in front of him. The stork said nothing. A few days later, he invited the fox to dinner. The stork served the soup in a tall, narrow jar. This time, the fox couldn't reach the food, but the stork ate easily with his long beak. The fox then realized he had been taught a lesson. Moral: do not do to others what you would not want done to you. The mother crab and her baby. One day, a mother crab took her baby for a walk on the beach in the morning sun. As they walked across the soft sand, the mother crab noticed that her baby was walking in a crooked, sideways manner. She said, "My dear, you must walk straight. Don't walk sideways like that. It looks messy and ungraceful." The baby crab looked up at her and replied, "But mother, you're walking sideways too. Why do you tell me to walk straight?" The mother crab paused and realized her baby was right. She tried to walk in a straight line to show her baby the correct way. But no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't help but walk sideways, just as all crabs do. She stopped, sighed, and said, "You're right, my dear. I shouldn't ask you to do something that I can't do myself." The mother crab understood that being a good example is the first step in teaching others. Morale: before teaching others, we must be able to lead by example.
The ant and the dove. One sunny day, an ant was busy searching for food along the edge of a stream. It looked for tiny seeds and leaves with great effort. But in its rush, the ant accidentally slipped and fell into the water. It struggled to stay afloat and called for help, frightened by the strong current, but there was no one nearby to hear it. A dove perched on a branch above saw the ant's distress. Feeling pity, the dove plucked a leaf and gently dropped it into the stream. The leaf floated toward the ant. Quickly, the ant climbed on and held tight as the leaf carried it safely back to the shore. The ant looked up at the dove gratefully and promised in its heart to return the kindness. Not long after, while the dove was resting on a branch, the ant spotted a hunter sneaking behind a bush. He was aiming his weapon directly at the dove. Without hesitation, the ant ran as fast as it could and bit the hunter's ankle hard. The hunter cried out in pain, and his shot missed. The dove flew away safely, saved by the ant's quick thinking. The dove soon realized what had happened and flew down to thank the ant. They looked at each other with warmth and understanding, knowing that one good deed had led to another. Moral: kindness given to others often comes back to us when we need it most.